It's not affecting anybody.
That's not a real move either. So let's look at this. I asked, we started out by saying what the Rubel Shelley interview did accomplish, and I said I do think it affected some people's minds. And I think that the conversations just like this one and the one that we've had last year around February, I think that it had effect. So what we said last time, this was the 2023 lineup that I mentioned to Alan Hires. 4 Pepperdine speakers: Dale Maynard, Bruce McClarty, Noel Whitlock, and David Skidmore. And, you know, he's appeared on their social media. He's a Winterfest Jeff Walling speaker. And my point was, you could replace any of these 4 men with Rubel Shelley and nothing would have changed. You know, it's just the thing. Rubel Shelley has a bigger name than these guys. Well, here is what happened from last year to now. 2 of these guys are out. So there's always the possibility. This is what I'm saying. Here are our possibilities. Freed-Hardeman didn't invite them back. Did not invite them back. It might be possible. David Skidmore said, I don't want to come back. If y'all are going to be making it where I can't be with Jeff Walling, I don't want to come back. That's possible. It's always possible they just got sick. Couldn't come. We never know. Like, people never know because...
And just, you know, people are not going to know. David Skidmore is a ministry partner with Jeff Walling at Pepperdine. It's on there. Like, you just cannot dissect the two of them.
Separate it.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
And so for Freed-Hardeman to have somebody that is in ministry with Jeff Walling is inexcusable in any realm. There's just no way you can say that that's okay. So for him, that's a question that somebody needs to find out. You know, there's enough of you guys that go to Freed-Hardeman and that you're involved in Freed-Hardeman, it's your alma mater, and Freed-Hardeman is everything. You ask the question, why was David Skidmore on here when he is in ministry, unabashed with Jeff Walling at Pepperdine? And I'm saying at Pepperdine, on their website, you know, it's a youth men's ministry.
And then this is that moment again where someone like says to me and you, why do you think you even get to say this? Milton Sewell already said this.
Right.
Milton Sewell said Jerry Rushford did not get to come here while I'm in charge.
Earl Edwards.
Right. Earl Edwards said, one time at Pepperdine is enough for me. Well, that canceled out Bruce McClarty then. So it's not just Dale Maynard's coming back, and obviously Bruce McClarty's going to be there.
David Skidmore's at Winterfest as well. I mean, you had him at Winterfest the same year that you had him at Freed-Hardeman.
Right.
That's inexcusable.
Yeah. And it's just, you know.
Except that David Shannon goes to Winterfest also.
And this is where someone says, well, he doesn't go to be on the program. Well, what if he did?
Well, even people said that he didn't go into any of the lectures, and it's like you lower-level rank-and-file individuals don't know what David Shannon is doing anytime.
And he's still going to see all the same people at the president's meeting. The 16 different colleges will get together at the president's meeting. So you have to take note of this, and this is not like us ringing a bell. We did that. That's not what we're doing here. This is consistency. Are you trying? Or are you just like giving in whole hog? So here's the next one. I checked. I double-checked. I double-checked. Now, if I'm wrong, they are clearly open to say I'm wrong and say, no, I'd go if I was invited. But after, in 2023, when Freed-Hardeman had 4 different Pepperdine speakers on the program, you check out this year's pamphlet, B.J. Clarke is not on it. And he was last year. So the way that it's looking right now is there's not a single MSOP or GBN faculty slash staff member on the 2024 lectures. But you are still going to find, and now you go back and someone says, oh, well then that's good for them. Yeah. If that's what they're doing, because again, you never know. He may have just said, I'm too busy. It has nothing to do with like the 4 Pepperdine speakers, I'm just too busy. It's always back room. You never get a solid statement of why didn't you go to the 2024 lectures when you were there the year before.
And if you want to correct us, if any one of them want to correct us, or you find out that they said that's not why, we'd be glad to publish that.
Yeah, I will.
That you had something else, but you'd be glad to go to Freed-Hardeman with all the liberals.
And here's my thing too. They cut out whatever. David Skidmore's not there this year. Noel Whitlock is not there this year. There are still going to be 3 Pepperdine speakers there, even though these are just 2. There's another one I'm going to show you. And then there's going to be one who essentially might as well be on Pepperdine because he's with these Pepperdine people everywhere he goes. Now, here's the next point. If it's the case that individuals like Don Blackwell and B.J. Clarke, they're saying, no, I'm not going back to Freed-Hardeman while they keep trying to connect me to these Pepperdine speakers, well, you're going to have a hard time because Steve Higginbotham, who's the preacher at Carnes in Knoxville, which is the house of East Tennessee School of Preaching, he's still going, and he's going to be on with 3 Pepperdine speakers this year. Denny Petrello, the director of Bear Valley School of Preaching, he's going. He's going to be on with 3 Pepperdine speakers this year. And Brian Kenyon, who is the director of the Florida School of Preaching, not to be confused with Florida College, Florida School of Preaching, Brian Kenyon is going to be there, and he's going to share the pulpit with 3 different Pepperdine speakers, and then a 4th character who might as well be. So this is what I said to you a moment ago. People say, well, you make your circle so small. Well, it is the case that Don Blackwell and B.J. Clarke have made their circle so big that they can't help but run into Steve Higginbotham. Like, what does this do now if it's the case that B.J. Clarke said, no, I told him I'm not coming back? Well, Steve Higginbotham still went. And you're going to see Steve Higginbotham at PTP, right? Yeah. Like, you're still coming to PTP. Does Denny Petrello get to come to PTP? Does Brian Kenyon? Like, they're gonna do it again. Steve Higginbotham did it last year. 4 Pepperdine speakers. Steve Higginbotham just did it. And he's going to do it again this year. So, the circle can get too big.
Well, you know, folks, too, can I just tell you that we're not divulging all of the things that we could actually divulge? And it's like, the reason why we're not is because as we discuss this point right here, I'm saying Caleb and I discussed whether to mention that they're not going to Freed-Hardeman. Because if they're not going to Freed-Hardeman, that's great. And then if we say that they're not going to Freed-Hardeman, then they, individuals say, and I'm saying absolutely we know. Just last night, 2 nights ago, a congregation in Texas found out that we were talking about certain things that were going on in that congregation, and they made the statement that we're violating their autonomy. If they do what we're happy about, it would be a violation of their autonomy, and that we could actually say that we had something to do with the moves that we made. You just can't win.
No.
I mean, that's so absolutely false what they actually said. Their subjective thinking about what we say about their congregation. We were actually very positive about things that were going on over there and had nothing to do with the changes in it. But here's the point. We are not basically saying that they didn't go because of anything we said. We're just saying they're not going to be there. We talked about it. They're not going to be there. It would be wonderful if we had that kind of influence, but I will say this. There are plenty of people that talk to them about them being over there.
Yeah.
And, it was appalling to a lot of people that Freed-Hardeman was having Pepperdine people on there. But if we wanted to, I promise you, if we wanted to, we could show you texts that are sent to us from other directions where individuals have been saying behind the scenes, we're not fellowshipping that, we're not fellowshipping that one.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I was saying. You never get the clear statement. It's always behind the scenes. So one note, too, before we move forward was the congregation who said, like when you said, we can't win for losing in some of these instances, when that was told to you that, basically there are people that are opposing doing the right thing and they don't want to let you toot a horn, your response back to them was, well, what we're not going to do, him included, you were saying to him, what we're not going to do is we're not going to start taking this stuff personally. Yeah. Because if we start taking it personally, it's just going to eat away at us, and we'll probably start making bad moves. They'll start looking at us like we're nasty. So I'm saying even in all this, that's still the game plan. We're not going to start making stuff personal.
There's people that are watching, that will watch this, and they'll be sitting through this entire interview and saying, okay, they're going to say something about us next. And we didn't.
Right.
You know who I'm talking about?
No, but my thing...
Well, Phil Sanders got taken off of...
Oh, well, that's coming.
Oh, it's...
Yeah, so... But my thing about it is, so what? Doesn't mean I hate you. Yeah. I mean, we're just talking about facts. We're trying to be consistent. Like, if we can't do this, then what they're saying is every time they talk about somebody, they hate them.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't. And I was going to say this too. I still hear a lot of good things about Don Blackwell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, basically, and again, if someone wants to say that that's wrong, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I heard was Don Blackwell went into Cookeville and split a church that needed to be split. Good.
Yeah.
If that's how it happened, that's great. I mean, what are we going to do?
If he was at Willow Avenue, and there is no way Don Blackwell could actually be at Willow Avenue and not have trouble.
Yeah.
So God bless him for making a distinction between good brethren and goats.
Right.
Because that's what was at Willow Avenue.
And
so God bless him.
Is today still Wednesday? That's what I said this morning. I think I don't want to be hanging out with goats.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be hanging out with the tares. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if people thought, well, I didn't think that you'd give them any credit. Hey, if you're in there doing that, good for you. I mean, and it's not just about splitting and dividing, but we're saying, well, if we want to do the right thing and some people are hampering the right thing, then let's start moving on. This is the individual that I